Hey folks, it's Eugene, and today what we're going to be talking about is managing heat on your devices. So the warmer months are getting here, the sun is shining, and of course that means that these devices are going to get hot. So we need a way to manage the temperature in order to maximize our scanning time, because if you are scanning with a device, when you are scanning, everything is firing on your device, and that means that it gets hot really fast, especially outdoors in direct sunlight. So we want to be able to mitigate that and maximize our scan time. So what I did was I made myself a little checklist here, and I'm going to go through this, and I'll probably make this available either on the website or on the FAQ section or something like that. Maybe I'll even link to it in the video, let's say. So let's get right to it here. I have a little thermal imager. That's what I've got here. It's got a little video here. So what I'm going to do is I will post that in conjunction, or I'll bring up the thermal imagery whenever we need to. And then I got a couple of other little items here that I'm going to talk about, okay? So let's go through this. And what I did was I broke this up into before use, during use, and after use, okay? So before you start scanning with your phone, things you can do; during your scanning, what you can do; and then after, the kinds of things that you should be doing to mitigate heat. So get to the first and probably most important one, and that is to start with your device cold, okay, or at least cool. So if you have your phone and you throw it up on your car, or it's in a holder while you're driving and it's in direct sunlight, you know how sometimes the dash can just, absorb heat and it radiates it again. And so what ends up happening is, even if your car is air conditioned, if your phone is in direct in direct sun, it'll get hot. And so if you start with a hot phone and start scanning, you're going to minimize your time. So do what you can in order to minimize the heat when you start scanning. So for example, in my vehicle, what I've done is I've taken my car mount and I've positioned it in such a way that the phone is actually sitting in front of one of the vents. So when my air conditioning is on, there's cool air that's blowing up on the back of the phone, and that makes a big difference because the phone is cool to the touch whenever I start scanning. So that seems to be really helpful. If you have cooling pads or whatever it is that you have, start with a cool. You're going to maximize your time significantly, okay? So keep that in mind. The other thing is to do things on the phone. So for example, close any unnecessary apps, okay? So that's a big one, because a lot of people have a million things open on their phone, or it's doing a bunch of things in the background. You want to try and make sure that that is minimized. Now, I know a lot of people know the iPhone pretty well, but just in case you're kind of new to this, okay? If you got your phone here, normally at the bottom, you've got your sort of little bar there that you can swipe up and get to your home screen. And what you can do is, instead of swiping straight up to go home, you kind of go up and to the side, just like that. And then what happens is these apps sort of are aligned like a deck of cards. And if you take any of these little apps and swipe up, okay, you're forcing the app close. And I guarantee you, if you haven't done this in a while, look on here, because your social media, your maps, your all kinds of stuff will be open, and you just got to keep swiping them up, and then they will all be closed. Okay, once they're all closed, then you're good to go. Okay, that you know for sure that you don't have anything else sort of running. Now, the other thing you could do if you wanted to is you could go into airplane mode, do not disturb, and things like that. If you break all the connectivity, then there's usually minimal stuff going on in the background. The other thing you can do on your phone is lower the screen brightness. So a lot of people, if you're outside and it's sunny, it's hard to see the screen, but if you know you're going to be scanning, you can just lower the brightness a bit, and then you're not adding any additional heat because of the screen brightness. Another thing you can do is avoid wireless charging just before use. And if you ever have your wireless charger on the back here you will notice that it does get warm. And so we want to minimize any heat. So you can plug it in and get it charging, or make sure it's just in a really cool place. Like I said before, start with it cold, and you're going to maximize the time for scanning. So that's just another little bit of a tip. Another important one here. So just as an example, this phone here, this is an iPhone 13 Pro Max, and you see it's got this black case. Okay, so if I have a black case, it's doing two things here, especially if it's like a really thick case. Some of them have like a rubber lining. It's basically adding as an insulator. So what happens is you're not giving an opportunity for the heat to escape. Okay, and if that's the case, then, well, you're going to be cutting your scan short in heat and in direct sunlight. So you may want to actually just remove the case altogether and just use the phone. So, you know, the back of the phone case or the whole phone is basically open to the air, and it can get, or it can dissipate heat a little bit better. Another thing you could try is not to use a black phone case. Maybe get a white phone case, something that is a little bit more reflective and doesn't absorb the heat as much. That's something that you can consider. You'll notice that on this phone here, I purposely bought this phone with a white back, okay, so the color of the phone is white, and I've got a clear case. And this is so I don't have a black case on it and it doesn't absorb in the heat. So those are all things that you can do before you get started scanning. And there's probably a few other little things, but those would be the main one. Start with the phone already cool and you'll be good to go. All right, let's talk about during use, okay? What can we do when we're actually scanning to minimize the time? Again, probably there's a few things here, but probably the big one is going to be to scan efficiently. Now, I know some people spend a lot of extra time just kind of, oh, you know, let me spend a little bit more time doing this, doing that, doing that. Every 10, 20, 30 seconds, you are kicking up the heat and the temperature of that phone. And so you want to be able to scan efficiently and don't waste a lot of time just saying, hey, I'm going to do another 5 loops around this car, or I'm going to spend more time here if it isn't necessary, okay? What may end up happening is the phone gets too hot. Well, guess what? It says, nope, I'm done, and basically it'll shut down. So you don't want that to happen while you're scanning. You want to make sure that you can complete your scan, so make sure that you scan efficiently. Now, the other things that you can do is obviously work in a shaded area if you can move the object or whatever it is you're scanning. If you can't, then you're obviously stuck there. But you can also take breaks, okay? So if you are scanning and scanning and scanning repeatedly, it's just like scanning constantly, so you're gonna build up heat. But if you take short breaks in between, allow the phone to cool down a little bit, again, you'll be able to scan a little bit longer. Now, I've already talked about the case, so for example, you could remove it from a case, or there's some things you can do there. But the other thing is that there are some accessories that you can use for cooling. Now, I'm going to show you a custom thing that I was working on, okay? Now, this is like an iPhone or like a phone holder. So this was a prototype, and here's another one, okay? So this one has holes in the back, it's white, and it's got a little quarter 20 nut at the bottom so that I could just put this into a holder, let's say a selfie stick or whatever. Now, the idea behind this is you're going to use a little gel pack. So this needs to be in the freezer or whatever. You can keep it in a cooler, and before you scan, what you're going to do is you slide it in here, and then what you do is you take your phone and you put your phone in here, and the gel pack is sitting up on the back of the phone, and this will keep it cold. These things get ice cold, so they're pretty, they work pretty well. So I have to do some thermal testing on this in the near future, but so far from what I've seen, I mean, the phone gets cold. Now, these particular packs are pretty thin, so they don't last for a very long time, but certainly if you're doing a 5-minute scan or 10-minute scan, you can just pop these in, and they're cheap. You can get 5, 6, 7 of these, whatever you need, and just keep throwing them in when they start to warm up, okay? So that's just like a custom solution. Now, if you don't have access to a 3D printer and you don't want to make your own, sort of holder or cooler or whatever, there are some other things that you can get, and I'll show you this one here. So this one is a little thermal cooler, or I guess it's called, oh geez, what's it called? A Peltier cooler or something like that. And it has a little backing here. Now this is a MagSafe, so if I put this back here, I think I gotta push this up a little bit higher because it's blocking. Let me see if I can do that so you can see what's going on here. Let me put this back here. Okay, so that just sits back on the phone. Now, I would have to find a way to rig this up a little bit better so the phone is a little bit more secure. But the idea is you plug this in, and there's a fan on the back, but it also gets cool. So I actually want to show this to you on the thermal camera here. So let me go ahead and plug this in. Let's see what happens here if I can get this going. Let me see, I'm showing the thermal camera here. So I'll put this up on the screen so you can see. Let me turn this on, and it's really quite incredible what happens. So you can see the colors, and the fan is starting to go, but I'm gonna put this here because in a matter of seconds, we'll just monitor the temperature here, and you'll see how quickly it drops, and you'll see it's gonna get a really dark blue, okay, because of the temperature. So This gets down to about 5 degrees Celsius, okay, so it is quite cold, and there are others. I forgot the brand name of this one, but this was purchased some time ago, so I would actually be looking again to see what else is out there, because there may be some that will get to, you know, basically freezing, basically 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So have a look at this. You can already see on my screen here that it's going down pretty rapidly, even if I touch it. So I'll just put my finger here for a second, and then I'll let go, and you just watch the heat just disappear, like really, really quickly, okay? So other objects that I touch, you'll have this latent heat that just kind of sits around, but over here it just pulls it away really, really quick. So you do need a battery to run this, and I've got the battery right here in front of me. So you would need a way to mount this all up. Now I haven't gotten this far with this particular setup. I think last time what I did was I just took some tape or a strap and I just kind of strapped it to the pole, and it was working just fine. But if I just have a look right here on screen, I can see that I'm at 5 degrees, 4.5 degrees. And you know, when I touch this, it feels cold. I mean, it's getting down to ice cold almost. So definitely like a cold refrigerator or something like that. Okay, so this here is another solution, something that you could use, and even if it wasn't during scanning, you could put this on the back of the phone during a break, let it cool down a bit, and then you can continue scanning. So have a look at these little things here. A lot of people use these for gaming purposes because the phone does get hot after a while, even when gaming. Yeah, that'll show you that you can actually cool your phone with something like this. So let me just shut that down. Now, if you don't believe me about temperature and what's happening to the phone, what I'm going to do is I'll do a quick video here just to show you the back of the phone. Let me set this up so I get this in a really good view here. Like that. Let me go a little bit higher. Okay, like that. So I'm just looking at the phone here, the thermal imager, and it's already showing me that I'm at like 28 degrees, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire up Recon-3D, and I'm just going to start a scan, any scan, doesn't matter. Okay, go ahead, start scanning. All right, I'll put this back into view. Maybe I'll try to get a little bit closer so we get a little bit more clarity. All right, there you go. So it's starting at about 28 degrees. Other parts of the phone are at 25 or so, but I'm focusing right in on the back center, and it could be that the hotspot ends up going closer to the actual LiDAR sensor, and I've actually seen that before using this particular thermal imager. And I'm at room temperature right now, so it's like, you know, 20, 22 degrees Celsius, something like that. And this is not going to heat up as much as if you were outside, and it's, you know, if it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit or well over 30 degrees and in direct sunlight, this thing will get hot really, really quick. You have to remember that when you are scanning with Recon-3D, you've got the LiDAR sensor going, you've got video going, just about everything that you can fire on the phone is firing up. And so it really does heat up quite quickly. So you want to be able to manage that as best as you can. So it's not too bad right now, but I can already see it's getting close to 30 degrees. Okay, let me just see here, that one side, let me just turn it a bit so I don't get as many oh yeah, I'm at like 35 or 36 something there in that corner. Let me see if I turn this a bit just so I'm not mixing this up with something else. Oh yeah, like I'm seeing 36.5, 36.8, so you'll see in no time this is going up really, really quick, okay? So definitely make sure the phone is cool before you start, and you'll see that this is gonna heat up really quick as you're scanning. And I'll let that sit there just for a little bit as I move on to the next portion here. So after you're done scanning, you stop the scan and you want to go from there. If you're going to continue using the device, okay, you may want to take a break if it's really getting hot, okay? Because even photographs, especially video, the higher the video, so if you're doing like 4K video at 60 frames per second or something like that, you will notice that just video alone is going to heat up the phone as well, okay? So it could be that you need to take a little break and, you know, again, take the phone, put it in a cool place next to an air conditioning vent, it. Or if you have some kind of a cooling pad or something like that, you can definitely do that. Now, I do know some people that say, you know, they'll stick it in a cooler or they'll do something like this or in a refrigerator. I don't recommend that really, because if your phone is really hot, and this thing will get up to like 40, 50 degrees Celsius, no problem. And then if you put it into something which is ice cold, you have to worry about condensation. And so especially on the inside of the device, you don't want to have moisture buildup on the electronic components. So if you do that repeatedly, maybe once or twice you did it, maybe not a big deal, but if you're doing that repeatedly, then yeah, that'll probably cause a little bit of a problem. The other thing that happens is, of course, that you're using battery. So if you're going to recharge, you probably want to use a wired charger and not the wireless. The wireless ones generate heat, I find, and sometimes if the phone gets too hot, you will not be able to charge the phone, period. So again, cool the phone down, and then you can go in and plug in and charge. Sometimes it is helpful to use a little battery bank. So if you have a small little battery bank, you can keep it plugged in while you are scanning, and then you don't drain the battery as much. But these are a number of tips for you, the things that you can consider while you're scanning. And let's face it, sometimes we just run out of options, okay? We don't have all these little toys with us or whatever, and you just have to make do with the best, with what you have, and do the best you can. Often a car with an air conditioner, just blast that air conditioner, put the phone there, and after a little while, you'll be good to go. So I'm just looking over here at the temperature. We've already hit, we're over 40 degrees Celsius just in this area over here. And so this will continue to climb and easily hit about 50 degrees. And like I said, room temperature now. So if I'm outside, this would have climbed a lot faster. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I want to thank everybody for watching here. I'll do something with this little checklist if you're interested. Maybe I'll put it up on the frequently asked questions section on the website, or otherwise I'll just make it available as a PDF. Okay, thanks folks. Take care. Bye-bye.